is going on? Dance moves across the world. I see. What's going on, beautiful people? Welcome back to another amazing and impactful episode of the True Health Forever podcast, where we try to live our best life through the lens of holistic health. That was okay. It was like okay. Now we getting the hang of it. You know, episode 63. You know what I'm saying? We got some time, man.
It only took 63 episodes.
That part. But welcome back to another amazing, impactful episode. My name is Truvel, creator of Black Wall Street, the board game, and as usual, I have with me the dancing, the smiling, the perfect posture, curls on fleek herself. Please introduce yourself.
Not perfect posture now. I feel pressured to sit up straight the whole time.
Engage your core.
Yeah. So what I was saying is, no, what's up, party people? My name is Sinclair, aka the Health Nerd, and happy to be here on a Sunday. Switch it up on you, Sunday afternoon. Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. And y'all see, I got the glasses on today for two reasons, right?
Because you're blind.
For 3 reasons, right?
Like that has to be one of them. I don't.
So reason number 1, yeah, you know, eyesight's not too popping. Reason number 2, I want to be able to see any live comments that come in. As y'all know, we switched over to the live format, and we've been able to get some live engagement. I want to be able to read these comments and not just be like, "Hey, Queen, can you read that for me? I can't see it." And then number 3 is y'all know sometimes I can go off script.
Huh?
And yeah, I know it's a surprise to you, Queen, because we just met yesterday. But sometimes I can go off script, and I need to be able to actually read the outline. That way I stay somewhat on track, right?
I'll try to help you out there too.
Thank you, Queen. Thank you, Queen. So, interesting. Y'all know, if you've been rocking with us, a lot of people know this is not an announcement. A lot of people,
every time.
I got to. A lot of people are like, you know, when are the kids coming? When are y'all gonna have some little babies, right? All that cute stuff. And you know, they're coming. We're gonna manifest that in a year, 2 years. What we've been trying to do is master our entrepreneurship habits, master our balancing each other and our own relationship habits before we bring in this whole entire other human being into the equation. Then we have to learn how to balance all over again. But just because the babies aren't here yet does not mean we can't learn how to balance parenting and entrepreneurship ahead of time.
Yep.
Right? Does not mean we can't already start taking notes, learn from our community, learn from the 9-to-5 creator who we're going to have come on in a second on how they've been able to do it successfully and how they teach other people how to do it. So that's what this episode is all about. Whether you're already a parent and you're trying to learn how to build that brand, or maybe you already have a brand and you're trying to build that family, you're trying to build that beautiful village out. Either way, you need to start learning how to balance both sides of that beautiful equation. So today we have brother POP, the 9-to-5 creator, and he's going to teach us what he's been able to learn across his journey and what he teaches his community. Queen, are you ready?
I'm ready for some podcast.
I wasn't completely mad about that. I wanted to be mad about that, but I wasn't completely
I'll call it a win. It was a win.
About that. Without further ado, let's get into the episode. What up now? Yeah, we back, brother Pete.
Let's go. Let's go.
Welcome to the platform. Before we hop, fully into it, POP, passionately on purpose. That took me, I was like, ooh, that's your name? Okay, that's fire.
Yeah.
I like that. So I want to jump right into it. How did you come up with the passionately on purpose? Test. If this is dramatic effect, let me know. If you like, let me wait a second, right? So go ahead and try to say something so we can see if that audio is working for you, Mr. Passionately on Purpose.
Oh, okay, yeah, my yes.
All right, let's ask the question one more time.
I just want to thank y'all first and foremost for giving me the opportunity and the privilege to share your platform. I love what y'all doing. Love your energy. It's just a beautiful thing to be able to connect with you all, and to be able to feed off of that energy. So to answer your question, yes, POP is the name that I go by, and POP stands for passionately on purpose. And a little backstory on what POP, or how the name came about. Actually, the name Pop, the nickname, actually was a childhood nickname that was given to me by my aunt, as a matter of fact. So when I inquired as to why it is that she oh no, not Miss Tracy, not Miss Tracy, no, not Miss, no, that's one of my aunts. Yeah, okay. Listen, she be riding with me, man. She be riding with me, man. But actually, it's my aunt Sophie, as a matter of fact, one of my elder aunties, and she said the reason why she named me Pop was because I had an old soul when I was a kid. I didn't fuss much. She liked to say I didn't kick up much fuss. I wasn't complaining. I didn't cry much. I just kind of sat and observed, went with the flow. And my grandmother was like, this boy is like, he'd been here before. He got an old soul. Mm-hmm. So they just started calling me Pop. And that's kind of, and that name just kind of evolved with me as I evolved into manhood. And what's just interesting about it, how prophetic even it is, because literally it really has framed out my life. I'm a pops now. I got 3 beautiful children, right? And even before I had biological children, I've been able to mentor young men along the way that I've been able to, that didn't have fathers in their lives. So I was kind of that father figure. I was kind of that mentor, you know what I mean? So it really had a prophetic come about, if you will. And now it's a mantra by which I live my life, passionately on purpose. And for me, purpose is a privilege. And it's not something that I take lightly. And I believe that my purpose is something that has been given to me by my creator. So me living passionately through that purpose is my Thanksgiving offering for that investment. And so I believe in just living not just on purpose, but I got to do it passionately. I got to throw that extra P on there.
Got to.
I love that outlook on how you look at purpose.
Yes.
And it being like a gift, it being something to be thankful for. Love that.
Absolutely.
Facts, big facts. So you started your own platform. So can you talk a little bit about what is your purpose? And we're going to get into a clip in a second after you explain this. But for you, Mr. POP, what is that purpose that the creator, that the universe has given you?
So I believe my gift is being able to communicate. I've always been able to make complex things somewhat simplistic. And that's just the way that I think about it. Right. So what I've realized is that through my communication, I've been blessed with the privilege to be able to communicate in such a way and be able to do it in many different forms, speaking, writing, right. And also me being able to, or what I've been utilizing mostly is my ability to be able to speak. And I've been able to then use that and leverage that now with a platform that has an educational component, which allows me to serve people with this gift now. You know what I mean? Me just speaking was cool. But to me, it was, you can't necessarily, after I speak and I leave, I've been invited to speak. And after I speak and I leave, I always think about, man, did I really land that point, that I really connect? But now me leveraging not only the ability to communicate, but also the ability to be able to now educate as well, to kind of get in my teaching bag, has really now allowed me to, it really accelerated my purpose and also allowed me to now leverage that gift to be able to serve in such an amazing way. And I'm able to gauge by the feedback of people, right, real time sometimes, that like, yo, like what you're talking about, like you're really speaking to me. So my purpose, I believe, is to particularly what my brand is now, and what I'm focusing on is helping fathers now through this educational piece, through this communication piece, teaching them now how to be able to build a legacy in a digital world. Because the reality of it is that's the way we move in. So I want to teach busy 9-to-5 working fathers how to not just work with their hands, but start working with their minds.
Love it. If you haven't tapped in, follow him on Instagram. It's at I am _P.P. POP right there. He has videos coming up almost every day. He has his 30-day challenge, which we're going to get into in a second. But I was, I do a little homework. I like studying from other people, getting the nuggets of wisdom from other people. So I was tapping into some of your YouTube videos, and the clip that I want to show next is you had this bar, and it was something like, you're becoming the person that you want to be, right? But it's a process, and I want to cue up that video and play that short clip real quick, and then get your take on that. All right.
Oh, let's do it.
Audio check for me in the background. Audio check. Test. The more you try to get better, the more fatigue, right? The more what's it called?
Like
Inertia,
resistance.
Resistance
Yes.
you might get, right? All right, so maybe we can just have you say these wise words live. I know it's sometimes hard to recollect the wise words you say live as well. But do you remember that? It was day 1 of your challenge, of your 30-day challenge. You opened up with these wise words, something around the fact of, you're pushing yourself to become the man, the creator, the person that you want to be in the future.
Got it. Okay. I think it's the clip where I'm saying that the reality of the reality is that the person that you want to be and the person that you are two completely different people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the reality of the situation. And in order for you to get to where you want to be, there is going to be, as you said the word, is going to be some resistance. And it's funny, I was actually talking about that today on day 19. We 19 days into that 30-day challenge, by the way.
That's good.
So we talked about it today. I talked about it a little bit today. It's going to be a fight for you to get to who it is that you are currently, to where you want to be. It's going to be a fight. Why? Because who you are now wants to play for keeps. Who you are now wants the convenience and the comfort. Who you're going to be requires you to step out of that convenience and that comfort in order to pursue it, right? And so the reality of that, it could be daunting, but if you embrace that, then what ends up happening is that you no longer restrict yourself or box yourself into your comfort and convenience. Now you say, you know what? I'm going to get there by any means necessary. And now what you'll begin to see is that things around you, and I believe I was listening to I was listening to one of you all shows, and I think Queen, you were saying how once you make up in your mind, then what you're going to find that everything around you is going to start lending itself to the decision that you've made. Yep. So in that clip, I went on to just challenge us to understand that who you want to be is not who you are, and that's cool. But once you make a decision, understand that you're going to be in a fight, but you can be victorious and will be victorious if you stay committed, if you stay consistent, and you stay disciplined.
Big facts. Queen, you want to talk about this? The concept of attracting the things that you want.
Right. And it's what's interesting about it, and we have talked about it, I think, on a couple different shows, is that once you do make that decision, okay, I want to do this, I'm going to move in this direction, you start to notice things that you didn't notice before. So, I mean, you can think about it just even in like a simple example. Let's say you want to buy a Mustang. All of a sudden, you're going to notice that you're going to start to see Mustangs everywhere. Right?
Everywhere.
I was talking to Markel about his Dodge Challenger.
Right.
And I was like, bro, why'd you buy that car? He was like, oh, I love car. Now, every single day, I swear, I see like 3-4 Dodge.
You're like, maybe that's Markel. Right? It's just, and that's the same thing with like your dreams and aspirations. Once you say, I want to become a health coach, now I start to see all of these health coaches on my Instagram, right? Because, and it's not just coincidental, right? It's because now I went to this hashtag and I follow holistic health because I know that people with this hashtag probably have some information for me. So now I'm starting to see all these posts. I might meet somebody who's also a health coach and I'll be like, well, what? You starting your journey too? too.
Right.
And now now our journeys are, you know, crossing. And so things just start to happen that will help you out. However, I feel like the thing that I'm learning in my journey to follow my purpose is that we like to think about growth. Like, okay, you're this person here and you want to get here. And sometimes we think about this journey as being linear, as like you're always going to be on the up and up, when really it's like this. And then you end up here. And I feel like those are the parts when you need to remember that you may have a point where you dip to below where you started. But you got to realize that you just have to keep going, because there is another valley, a mountain, excuse me. There is another mountain. That was another analogy we used that will get you closer to where you want to be. So I think that's important to remember too.
No, that's big. It there is a gap, and that's okay. There is a gap between where we currently are and where we want to be, and that's cool. I also let people know you got to give yourself grace. You know, I think we oftentimes we're way too hard on ourselves, but understanding like the person that you want to be has more information than you do, has more experiences than you do currently, right? Has more under their belt as far as expertise is concerned, right? So the thing about it is that it's not that you won't get there, but you don't necessarily you might not necessarily have the tools yet. So the process is for you to acquire those things that you need to get to in order to get to that level. It's like the game Zelda. I mean, I might be dating myself. I'm almost 40, right? So in Zelda, every single stage you go through, every single level gives you a weapon that prepares you for the next level, right? So if you hit the cheat code, then you miss out on a whole bunch of weapons, you know what I'm saying, that you may need to be able to face the level that you skip to. So it's not about skipping the process. It's about embracing that process, because it's in that you build the muscle and the stamina and get the tools that you need. So when you do get to the person that you want to be, you got everything that you need.
Love that, the stages, right? You get the different weapons, the different tools, learning your lessons. So for you, brother POP, can you talk about the beginning of your journey? Right. And you said you're the 9-to-5 creator. So if you care to share, what was the profession that you were doing to the 9-to-5? And like, how did you start this journey, and where did that light bulb come off? Like, you know what? Let's start creating. Yeah, I'm gonna start creating. And not only am I gonna start creating, but I'm gonna teach other people who are in my situation how to create. Can you walk us through that beginning steps?
Absolutely. So as a disclaimer, I'm a 9-to-5. I call myself the 9-to-5 creator because I'm still a 9-to-5 worker. I work a 40-hour week, you know what I mean, while building a brand and business and marriage and family, and 3 kids. So to kind of backtrack, man. So it actually started really when I've been married this year. I'll be married 13 years. So what ended up happening is that I'm working my job, and the job that I'm still in. And I'm like, man, like, yo, there's got to be more than this. You know what I'm saying? Like, there has to be more than this. And I've always kind of been someone who is a creative. You know what I'm saying? Like, before it, like, a lot of people know this, but I actually have a degree in visual arts. You know what I'm saying? So visual arts, I grew up from when I was younger. I used to always draw, paint, like, you know what I mean? Like, that's always been my thing. So I started working my 9-to-5 job, which doesn't encompass any of those, any of that. I work for a bank. Everything is very black and white, right? And I'm like, man, like, I'm suffering because I can't use my creativity. And so I wasn't on social media or anything like that, but I did a lot of mentoring to younger people. And they was like, man, you got to get on Instagram. You got to get on this. And I'm like, what? Insta what? You know what I'm saying? Like, what you talking about? You know what I mean? So I decided that I was going to just start to kind of explore this. And so at this particular point in time, I'm married. I've been married for maybe almost 3 years. My wife and I had just bought our first home. We were renting, and then we bought our first home. And then and my oldest son was on the way. So I remember just being in this place where I'm like, yo, there has to be more than this. I have to figure out a way for me to be able to use my creativity, because if not, I'm going to lose it. Like, I already felt myself just kind of just not having a desire to create, just losing my creativity. I was like, nah, that's what's been my engine. So the light bulb went off when I saw the Dame Dash interview on The Breakfast Club.
Oh,
That's hilarious.
So we laughing because we brought up Dame Dash a few times as
Yeah.
well, and it's been a love-hate relationship because
Yeah.
some things he's poured in, and then other things it's like, dang, I don't know if I should have listened to that.
It's always Dame Dash.
Yo, listen,
But my bad. Get into
it's so crazy. It was the very first one when he's up there and him and Envy is going back and forth, and he's talking about, but he said something, and it is funny. My brother says all the time, listen, bro, you chew up the meat, you spit out the bones. You take what you can take, take what you receive, whatever is relevant, and then you could toss the rest. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of how it's been with Dame, right? For a lot of people. So, but he said something that was so impactful, and it just hit me, and it hit Envy too, because he really didn't have an answer for it. And he was like, he said, if your son needed a job, can you give him this your job? Like, can you give him this station? Like, what you're doing right now, can you pass it on to your kid? And Envy, like, he didn't answer the question. He kind of evaded it, like, to try to get, what I'm saying? He didn't necessarily want to concede that he had made a good point. And I was like, man. And I started thinking, like, what do I have that I can give to my son? Like, I have, like, at this point in time, we got a newborn coming. I'm like, man, I can't give him this bank job. So I need to figure out what I can do so I can have something to give to him. You know what I'm saying? And that's when the light bulb went off. And I'm like, what can I do? And then I started inquiring about this Instagram thing. I got on Facebook first, and I started inquiring about this Instagram thing. Got on Instagram, seeing what people was doing. I said, okay. And at that time, Instagram was just pictures. It wasn't necessarily videos and stuff like that. That later came on. So I was like, all right, you know what? What I'm going to start doing is I'm just going to start posting quotes. So I started posting quotes, you know what I'm saying? Original quotes that come to my mind and stuff. And then when it transitioned into video, I just started taking my phone, and I tell people all the time, I started with an iPhone 6 Plus in a big window in my living room. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have fancy lights. I didn't have fancy cameras. I didn't have anything. I had a message that I felt that people needed to hear, right? To motivate and inspire people early in the morning. People like me who might need a little extra kick to get through their day because they're going to work, and they may not necessarily, they might be going to a dead-end job, and they just need a little extra to get them along the way. And I started with my iPhone 6 Plus in that window, and I started getting, people started hitting me up. People started sharing the video. And at that point, it was only 1 minute videos. There was no IGTV. There was no reels.
What year was
this had to be, let me see. My oldest son was born in 2010. So I guess this may be like 2000. I guess maybe 2010, somewhere around in there.
Okay.
2010. My son is 10. He'll be 11 this year. Yeah. So like this is around 20 like 2009, 2010, somewhere around in there. And so I just started doing minute videos, bro. Like literally, like this is what I was doing. I would get up. I would try to get enough time to make the video right before, and I would do it before I had to rush out the door to get to work and pray that I didn't get stuck in traffic and be late and end up being late to work. You know what I'm saying? Like so to your point, to your question, that's where it started. Like I started making content for people like me who were 9-to-5 workers who just needed an extra little something. I decided I was going to utilize this new platform. You know what I mean? And it started working for me, man. So that's kind of where it was. But it came with some drawback though. It definitely came with some drawback. I had this thing. I wanted to share this message. I had something to share. Couldn't really put a name to it. Couldn't really put a title to it. And imagine I'm spending all of this time now trying to figure out this platform. And I got my wife and I got my kid. And I can't explain to my wife what I'm doing. I can't explain to her what this vision that I have is. I can't explain it, but I'm spending a whole lot of time doing it. And she's like, hold on, bro. Like we got way more responsibilities now. We got a kid and we got bills. Everything is on us now. So I understand what you're trying to do, but you can't explain it to me and I don't get it. So either you're going to have to give that thing up, or we're gonna have to have a different conversation. You know what I mean? Like either straight up, right? So I came to a crossroads, man. I really came to a crossroads where I had to figure out how I was going to maintain my marriage and still spend time with building this thing that kept me up at night, that woke me up in the morning, that I could not for the life of me shake. And that's where I came up with the 9 to 5. That's where the 9 to 5 creator was birthed, man. At that crossroads, trying to figure out how I was going to juggle these two and do it with excellence.
Love it. That's a 10-year process, y'all.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
10
so
years.
when Pop makes it big, I don't want anyone out here being like, oh, he made it overnight. Oh, who's this new? No, he says since 2010 he's been making his videos, and he's doing it 2021. The videos are now a whole nother level. He's not using just a phone anymore. He got a whole tech setup, which we'll get into in a second. But I got two quick things, and Queen, let me know if you want to hop in. But two quick things. I love that the kids are the motivation.
Yeah.
Right. That next generation is the motivation. Yeah. Shout out to Dame Dash. I've definitely, just learned to spit out some of those bones. All respect to the legend for sure. But you have to realize that, someone like a Dame Dash, a Kanye, a Jay-Z, a Beyonce, like they're on a certain level and they've already done a lot of work. So some of the things that they're saying at this, mountaintop level might not be applicable to someone who's still climbing that mountain.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
But I love the concept of being your own boss, right? He says that constantly, like I'm a boss, like that's what I do. I've only known being a boss, and I'm going to pass down all my businesses to the next generation. I love that as a motivation. Queen, do you remember talking in TJ's?
That's exactly when he was talking about these 1 minute videos. I was like, this was Devon's equivalent to talking in TJ.
Pop. Terrible. They were not it. But this was in 2016. Very similar situation. I would wake up in the morning or like right when I got home from my 9 to 5 job and just make a quick little, 5 minutes.
Sometimes quick.
Sometimes it's like 20 minutes. Right. But you know how it is. I saw your intro video and you were like, oh, they're gonna be like 10 to 15 minutes. All your videos are 25 minutes. It just happens. You get in the flow and you just talking, right? But I feel like some folks are afraid to make that small first imperfect step.
That's it.
And they get paralyzed. Like, no, I need the right camera. I need the perfect mic. I need all my lighting. I need the right clothes on. Sometimes that is the queen at times. But I need everything, perfect, 120% before I expose myself. But sometimes you need to put yourself out there. You need to jump, and you're going to sink or swim. You're always going to swim, right?
Yeah.
But you need to put yourself out there because you cannot fly unless you put some air underneath those wings.
That's a fact.
Right?
That was the other thing that I was thinking about as he was explaining, as I was thinking about Black Wall Street, the board game, which I see over there in the corner. You got
you see me. You see me. That's right.
I was thinking about that and the fact that started on we show this. We've showed this a couple of different times, I think, on the podcast. You have it over there?
It's somewhere over there.
It's right there. It started on a U-Haul box, right? I mean, when you think about this is how Black Wall Street, the board game started. So there was no fancy graphics, there was no fancy pieces. It is made on the back of a cardboard box, and we use text to go around and play it and create how the game actually plays. So it may not be always glamorous, but you have to start. You can't jump to a fancy game board if you haven't at least played on a cardboard box, a plate, a newspaper. Doesn't matter what it is. Use what you have, whether it's an iPhone 6, whether it's a piece of a cardboard, whatever you have, use what you have just to get started. That's kind of the other thing I took away from what he said.
That's I tell people all the time, start messy. You gotta start messy. You know what I mean? And that's what you do. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and I'm victim of it. I'm not victim. I've had the same mentality where I feel I'm looking at step Z, right? Totally skipping. I'm at step A, but I'm got my focus gaze on step Z, right? And I'm totally skipping every other step or not considering every other step. Point A, point B, so on and so forth. Start messy. Start with where you are in what you have. And I truly believe, one of my favorite books says, if you're faithful over few, then you'll become ruler over many. So the blessing is being faithful in the few things. So whatever it is that you have, be faithful over it, and eventually that thing is going to build momentum and blow out of your wildest dreams.
Yep. Love that. So speaking of, alphabets, right? Starting at Z, A is maybe figuring out what that lane is, but B, C, D, it's one of these letters. Not sure which one. Is taking responsibility. And you have a clip, and I want to throw that clip on the screen right now as I'm talking about it. But you have a clip that says a moment that you learn to take responsibility and really self-assess where you're personally going wrong, rather than looking at things that maybe like excuses, other barriers externally, right? So if we can throw that clip on, and hopefully the audio will be working with us, and then we can go deeper and explain it. No,
your audio is not working.
Technology, it's gonna keep fighting us. That's okay. We're gonna keep on going though. All right. No audio, so we can pull that down. But again, kind of giving you the short version of it to refresh your memory over there, POP. You were basically saying you had to self-assess yourself, and you had to look at the situation as like, what are you, and you being me, but in your video, you was you.
Yeah.
You point.
Yeah.
What are you doing that's stopping you from growing? Stop making excuses. Stop looking at barriers, and really look internally to see what you have control over to get you to that next level. Can you talk a little bit about getting to that self-assessment point, and then once you self-assessed, what were those maybe few things that you were or weren't doing that was holding you back personally?
That's a great question, man. Look, I got just sick and tired of being sick and tired, bro. Like I got tired of finding myself in the same situations, man. You know what I'm saying? It was like, it was a circle. I would find myself, I would be doing good, so it seems, and then next thing you know, I'm right back where I began. And I'm like, man, like this is crazy. And at that particular point, I was having some difficulties, still early in my marriage, but having some difficulties, not necessarily in my marriage, because I realized that there were some things that were off in my character as far as my manhood was concerned.
You gotta go deep there. Hold on, you can't fast forward that.
Yeah,
hold on, because I'm trying to learn from you. All right, so
bro.
Let's unpack that real quick.
What I realized, man, I didn't realize how selfish I was. I was extremely selfish as a man, and not considering one, my wife, but also I realized that I had an entitlement spirit. I was expecting other people, including my wife, to do for me what I was supposed to be doing for myself. And the essence of that clip was, I was pointing the finger, oh, well, this person didn't do that, and that person didn't do that, and he didn't teach me this, and I wasn't taught that. And because I didn't have this information, that's why I'm here. And it wasn't until I reached out to my big homie Quest, and I was like, bro, like, and I'm laying it out. Listen, man, she ain't doing this, and this ain't that, and this, that, and the other thing. And he helped me, and he stopped me in my tracks. He said, bro, the reason why you having these problems is because your inability to self-assess. And I was like, self-assess? He was like, yo, when's the last time you looked in the mirror and began to question yourself? When's the last time you looked in the mirror and asked yourself, do you hold yourself to the same standard that you hold other people who you say are not doing for you what they said that they was going to do for you? When you don't do the things for you that you said that you was going to do, are you getting at yourself the same way? And what he challenged me to do is he challenged me to take responsibility and start holding myself accountable for the lack in my life. And no one has ever held my feet to the fire to make me take accountability for the areas in which I was weak in, and the areas that I lacked. And so when he told me that, I can't even say he told me, when he how can I say it? When he made sure that he stuck it to me, it changed my life. Because what I realized is that, nah, hold on, bro. Like, you can't blame, you can't expect your wife to do that for you. Like, you supposed to be doing that. And also what I realized was, because my father was in my life, but I was raised by my mother and my grandmother. And for a long time, they did everything for me. Right? I didn't have to want for anything. It got to the point where I had to tell them, like, listen, I can't, I'm grown now. Let me do this. But what ended up happening is that then bled over into my marriage, because subliminally I was expecting my wife to do for me what my grandmother and my mother was doing for me. So I realized that I was being unfair, and I was being disrespectful to my queen, because I was putting expectations on her that she didn't sign up for. And so as I self-assessed, to answer your question, I started to realize all of these different gaps in my character as a man, right? And what was one of the most challenging times in my life. Because I could not blame anybody else but me. I had to take responsibility for everything. Yeah. I had to figure out a way. To hold myself accountable, even when I wanted to start pointing fingers at other people. But what it allowed me to realize, once I exposed those gaps, then I knew what I needed. And I started the journey of seeking out the things that I needed. So I got on a men's prayer group, right? And that's how I met my big homie Quest, who told me, who gave me this light bulb experience. And he put me on the books about manhood. And once I started to identify those gaps and started to seek out the information, I found that there were people who were right there to plug me into what it is that I needed to do and take me underneath their wing. So self-assessment literally opened up the door for me to be able to grow and for me to be where I am now. You know what I'm saying? If I would have never self-assessed, I don't know where I would be. Shoot, I don't even know if my wife would have been able to take it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So self-assessment. So I talk about self-assessment because it was literally self-assessment that saved my life. And I know it's self-assessment that saved my life. I know it's self-assessment that saved my marriage. I know it's self-assessment that allows me to be able to serve my community and my children the way I need to serve them. It's self-assessment. And self-assessment is something that you must do every single day. Every day. You know what I'm saying? And imagine practicing holding yourself responsible and accountable every single day. What kind of reinforcement that does for your character? What kind of ingredients that adds to your character? You take that into account, and once you can take responsibility for the moves that you make and the decisions that you decide to go with, then you're unstoppable, because it's nobody because you are no longer beholden to expecting others to do it. Now you're holding yourself responsible and putting your feet to the fire and saying, yo, if I'm gonna make this happen, if I say I'm going to do it, I got to do it.
Man, so there's so much to unpack in that masterclass of manhood, husbandry, and just partnership. Goodness gracious. For the second time, I don't know if I can unpack everything, but like a few things for sure that I want to talk about is the self-assessment isn't just in the moment.
No,
right? The fact that you went back to childhood, you went back to, how was I raised? What did I need, or what was given to me as a child 20 years ago, 30 years ago, and how is that impacting my marriage 40 years later? And I think that's something crucial to talk about. And we've dove into some of those conversations recently, but you got to not just look at your week, your month, your 2020, your 2021, really look back at that childhood and see what gaps were missing, or how your cup was overfilled maybe as a child. And now you can look at, okay, now in this age, what's my life look like now? So love Absolutely. That. Book recommendation for anybody. I feel like you may have already listened or read this book, but the Way of the Superior Man.
Yes, I've heard. I didn't read it. I heard it though. I've heard of it. Yes.
That's a good one. I read that in maybe 2020, And I don't know if you've seen a significant difference in the way that I've carried myself or engaged with you, but I feel like that's definitely helped me engage better in my marriage. It was a book recommendation from the late and great Nipsey Hussle. So if
Yes. Shout out
anyone's
to Nip.
watching, they're just figuring out like whether it's in your marriage, in your relationship, trying to figure out how a man, quote unquote, should be, whoever identifies as a man, how you should be operating, how you can kind of interact with women and the opposite sex. It's a good book, The Way of a Superior Man.
That's good.
Anything you want to sprinkle on that?
I think just to keep going with like the self-assessment piece and why it's important, I think to get even deeper into why I think it's important to not only identify in your quest for yourself and knowing yourself, not only this is the way I am, but why I am the way I am, right? I think that's important for you to know too, but also for your partner or whatever to know about you as well, because then you can identify like those triggers, the moment of when this is the activity, or this is the time, or whatever time of day, or the activity or whatever that triggers me to expect this from you, or to want this, or to react in this way, right? So for me, it's criticism. It's like, I know that when I get criticized, I can tend to be this way, right? So I know that now. So, and he knows that, right?
You know that, yes.
Also importantly, he knows that. Yes. And we've talked about why that is. And now we know, like, that doesn't mean, oh, you can just never criticize me, right? Because I still need to be held accountable too, as his partner, as his business partner, all those. But now he knows, like, there's a certain way to go about how to give, that constructive feedback to his queen in a way that I will actually soak it in. But it's also my responsibility to know, right? When we're having those conversations, it's like clockwork now. I can feel like, okay, he's doing the sandwich, he's doing the compliment, so I know that there might be a conflict coming. Be open-minded, right?
Yes.
Don't listen without a response in mind. Listen to what he has to say, absorb it, and make an action plan. Like, that's all there is to it. There's no need to be defensive. There's no need to, all right, because my tendency is to be like, oh, I did this, or I didn't do that, and that's not helpful, because it's like, okay, cool, but what are you going to do about it? Right? So I feel like me knowing myself is important, but me also knowing why I am the way that I am, and sharing that with the people around me, I think is also important, so that you can really get down to, this is what triggers this behavior, and this is how we can combat it.
Right. Love it.
Absolutely. Oh man, that's good. That's good. That's good. Absolutely.
All right. So
You frozen? Beloved, I'm frozen, or I can't.
there we go. We can see you and we can hear you.
Okay. I was just typing in chat. I'm sorry.
No, that was on us, I believe. Taking responsibility and self-assessing. I think that our internet went out. We had to get on the mobile hotspot, but you can't stop. And before I get into this question, I feel like as entrepreneurs, as people, period, but specifically as entrepreneurs, you're always going to see barriers and hurdles in your way, right? And this was a perfect example, like, internet dropping, audio not working, how are you going to respond to this stress?
Yep.
How are you going to respond when these barriers come in your way? You could be like, ooh, there's a barrier. Let me turn around and go home. Or you're gonna find a way to jump over that barrier, go around that barrier, dig under,
tunnel,
dig through that barrier. Like, how are you going to respond to the pressure? Because the pressure is always going to be there. So, but hopping back to Brother POP, right? The question was, after you self-assess, the hope is you come out on the other side of that assessment, you come out on the other side of that barrier stronger, with a deeper knowledge of self than you had before, and more capable of doing and fulfilling what your purpose is. So I want to get to you living in your purpose. Yes, I want to get to you living in your passionate, on purpose lifestyle. What does that look like now? What things are you hoping to offer to your community? You're teaching to your community. So what's the other side of that self-assessment, that journey look like for you today?
Oh, a healthy marriage. a healthy marriage. First and foremost, a healthy marriage. You know what I mean? Just children that are blossoming beautifully. And seeing an example of their father honoring and cherishing their mom. I have two boys and I have a little girl. My baby she's 4. And for her to be able to also witness that is amazing to me. Me and my wife have been working from home, during the pandemic, and we've been homeschooling our children. We decided to homeschool them this year. So it's been a bit of a hectic situation, but to say the least, I said to my wife the other day, I was like, man, thank God we like each other. Cause Lord have mercy. It could have been a whole different situation. Right. So what passionately on purpose looks like for me is, in what the other side of that self-assessment, what I've realized, it has given me the opportunity now to serve, and not to serve not to serve to get something in return, but to serve because I'm supposed to. And talking about that, the selfishness, I would serve because I wanted something in return. I had ulterior motives. Right. That was another thing that came up in my assessment of myself. Now serving and pouring out just because that's what I'm supposed to do. That's my role. That's my job. It has now opened me up to such freedom, because now I understand, now my cup is running over, and I enjoy now being able to share that overflow with anybody who's willing to receive it. And so that's what it looks like in my personal life: working out, taking care of myself, self-care. You know what I'm saying? I'm working on it. But I'm trying to eat better. You know what I mean? And things along those lines. So self-care and all of those things also have come along on the other side of that assessment. But now, as far as being able to serve my audience now, because I did it wrong, starting out, what I'm now teaching my busy 9-to-5 working fathers is how you do this without sacrificing family time. How you build, how you create this attractive content, how it is that you build a marketable social media presence and put your fingerprint on this digital space without sacrificing that family time, right? Building something for your family without sacrificing your family at the same time. Teaching them how to be able to be present for your wife, be present for your children, right? Bring them in and help and allow them to be a part of what it is that you're building, right? My sons come down here, they turn the camera on for me. They help me set up my background, right? I run ideas off of them. When I create little graphics or whatever, I let my oldest son, because he's into all of that stuff. I'm like, man, what do you think about this? Well, Dad, you know what? I think you should change the color here. You should shift this and put that here, right? And he loves when I take his advice. That makes him feel good. Like, you know what I mean? Oh yeah, Dad, remember when I told you to do that? And you know what I'm saying? Like, so I brought them into the process. Even my wife, I brought her into the process, right? Self-assessing has given me vision clarity. And now that I have vision clarity, I'm now able to communicate accurately with my family in regards to where it is that I'm going and where I want our family to go. And they can now come along the ride, and they can now be a part of the process. So these are all of those things that came post self-assessment. And I just wanted, if I could just share this really quickly. When I was, oh, good looking, bro. Don't expect anyone to believe in something that you can't explain to them. And this is what I mean. Yeah. For a long time, when I was trying to do this thing, I was like, man, my wife ain't supporting me. Oh, they not supporting me. They can't see my vision. It's not that they wasn't trying to support me. And I realized self-assessment. I realized that it wasn't that my wife wasn't supportive. She just didn't understand it. I didn't communicate it well. I didn't give her enough to be able to believe and get on board with. And a lot of the times what happens is that if people are not, if people, we automatically label someone as not supportive or even being a hater or being jealous, but that may not necessarily be the case. Maybe because what I realized with me, my wife desperately wanted to support me. But she's like, bro, what are you giving me to support? You know what I'm saying? And so we have to be very careful. We have to be very careful and ask ourselves, are we giving, particularly, and I guess we're talking about, in a relationship dynamic period, and I'm just talking in relation to my wife, because she was the closest thing to me. Don't automatically assume that they just don't want to support you because they're not quick to throw all the chips at something that you haven't manifested, or you can't even explain yourself, or you can't provide them any evidence. Put in the work to build it out, self-assess, get that clarity, and then communicate that thing to them. And I promise you, someone who loves you is going to desperately wants to support you, but you got to give them something to support. I'm sorry. I had to get off my soapbox. I'll get off my soapbox.
No, you good. And a huge, I think, proof of that. And I only saw a few episodes, but I just assumed that Miss Tracy taps in almost every day, right? So it's like, if you just say like, oh, I'm gonna start a YouTube channel, everybody support me, everybody subscribe, and you're wondering how come people aren't subscribing, it's because you don't have any videos up, right? You're telling people to subscribe to your YouTube channel, and you haven't even created content yet. So start creating content. Tell the whole family, hey, I'm going to be up at 6 a.m. every single day. Tap in with me, and you'll see, Auntie TT Tracy is going to tap in, and she's going to be in the comments. You'll see Grandy, right? My grandma, she's bought every single edition of the board game, every shirt, sweatshirt, like everything that we
every episode of the
podcast. She's going to be watching this. Like every episode, she's always supporting because there's something tangible for her to support and something tangible for her to watch. So I love what you're saying. Like, manifest it. Give your family, your loved ones, your friends something that they can actually support, and then be like, okay, they not rocking with me or they are rocking with me, right?
Facts.
So I want to do, this is kind of off the script, or off what we said we were going to talk about. But do you mind doing any type of live coaching feedback with us in mind? And let's go ahead and manifest. Let's assume, boom, I got a 2-year-old in my hand right now. Mm-hmm. You're somewhat familiar with the Play Black Wall Street brand. You're somewhat familiar with our Instagram page. What advice or what questions would you be asking a potential client or someone in your community? I got my 2-year-old here. I got my beautiful wife here. We both got our Play Black Wall Street. Like, we're trying to do our thing. How can we go to the next level with Pop's advice?
Okay. Well, that's great. I like that. So, I mean, what I would first say, what I would first just advise, man, is first of all, clarity, right? Everything starts with clarity. Everything starts with knowing and being on one accord, right? You have to be on one accord. You all have to have an understanding of where it is that you're trying to progress and you're trying to move towards. Because with that clarity, then you can give each other grace, understanding that as both of you are playing your roles and trying to work separately but together, right? you all will be able to give yourself enough room to be able to grow, right, together, because you all have a clear vision and a clear goal that you're trying to reach.
Nice.
What ends up happening is that when you're moving in that direction on one accord, and you have that power, you a power couple. That little 2-year-old is now, you know what I'm saying? That little 2-year-old is now coming up in an environment where their parents are on one accord. They're experiencing that. They may not understand it, but they're in the room, right? And you might have heard people say, you just got to get in the room sometimes, right? Yeah. Because what's in the room is going to permeate who you are. So what's happening is that you're now practicing this being on one accord, because what happens is that even when the child gets older, that principle that you have established now of being like-minded, being on one accord, doesn't mean that you're not going to have disagreements and see things differently. But no matter what that is, you got a common goal. Now, what happens is that now that you are communicating, and now that you are one force, then what ends up happening is that when that child gets older, right? Children have a tendency to try to play both ends to the middle, right? That's what both ends against the middle. So you practicing being on one accord is going to then help you. And I'm just putting my parenting hat on, being on one accord is going to now help you when it comes to that child, because the child's going to understand that if I ask daddy's going to ask mommy. And if and to confirm that what mommy said is that's what was been said. And I'm not going, right. And I'm not going to be able to get over on them. Why? Because they're a united front. Right. Yeah. And once you're a united front, there's literally nothing that you won't be able to accomplish, because that communication piece was already practiced. And I tell people all the time, whatever you practice, you become good at. So you have to be very intentional about what you practice.
Facts. I love that. And we even got a very short kind of sneak peek of what that's like when we took our trip to Tulsa. Right, because that was our first time like being outside of Cali, other than going to Texas, being outside of Cali and really representing Black Wall Street, the board game. She had cards, I had cards, my dad had cards, and we were all moving as one. And as people were asking me questions, I gave a response. As separate people were asking the queen questions, she gave a very similar response, and we were all on one kind of consciousness. And I feel like that's kind of practice for parenting.
Right.
Absolutely.
You can see potential customers or potential partners as that child that's going to try to be like, all right, how can I get the best out of this?
That's the fact. Listen, no, that's beautiful. That, man, I salute y'all, because I'm telling you that right there, that's the golden ticket. That's the golden ticket. You get that down, you're going to save yourself a whole lot of headache. I promise you. So that's what's up. Salute. I love to hear that.
Yes, sir. So speaking of Black Wall Street, the board game, while we here, it's in your background. So that means you got it. I don't know if you opened it yet, because some people like my grandma buy it and they never open it.
Oh no, listen here. I'm gonna tell you like that. You see the plastics off of this bad boy. We played it. We played it. Yeah, we played
Love it. We played it. So can you talk a little bit about your own experience, and first off, why you wanted to buy the board game, like why you felt like that was important to have in your household, but then just get into your experience. And you can be truthful. I'm not that sensitive. Like you can give me constructive feedback, and we'll make sure that we can make some things better. All right, cool.
Man, let me tell you about this. Listen. But yo, you know what? In all transparency, man, I love it. Like for real. Like, and I'm not, and I promise you, I'm not one to blow smoke. I'm getting older. I got grays. I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't got time. I ain't got time to be blowing smoke, right? The game is phenomenal on so many different levels. One, so I did the review, I did a review for the game, and that video will be dropping soon. And I recorded it. So really I was just recording the experience of my children. So I didn't get a chance to play it myself, but I'm looking at it, I'm experiencing through the eyes of my kids and in the eyes of my wife, because my wife actually, you know, navigated them and helped them set up and things along those lines. And first of all, when I first opened the box, when it came to the house and I opened the box up and I saw the game, I was like, yo, this is excellent. Right off top, this is black excellence, man. Like, yo, for real. Like, I'm looking at it. I'm like, before I even open up the game, my kids are learning something. I'm looking at the back. I looked at the back of the, you know, the timeline on the back. I was like, yo, this is crazy. Before we even start playing the game, they're already getting educated. Yep. And we decided to play the game on the 100th anniversary of the massacre. So it was the timing couldn't have been more perfect. So what we did was there was a PBS special on Tulsa. So I had my kids. So we sat and we watched that because I had mentioned it to them before. But my kids are 10, 8, and 4. So you know what I mean. You know they don't. You know what I mean. They're in their own world.
Yeah.
But what I did was I decided that I said this is perfect. So we watched the documentary, and then I talked to them we had a good 15-20 minute discussion on what they saw, how they felt, right? And we just went all the way through it. And their understanding of what they saw was crazy to me. And the nuggets that they took away from the documentary, I was like, wow, this is really powerful. So to then have watched the documentary, for it to have marked the 100th anniversary of the massacre, and then now we had a game that they can reinforce these things that they just learned in a fun and interactive way with the game. I was like, yo, this is the perfect storm, right? So my wife picked it up and she did everything. And at first, when we pulled out the instruction manual, I was like, yo, this is a book. Like, hold on, like how exactly do we have to? And then when I started flipping through it, I was like, oh snap, they got financial literacy terms in here. Oh, okay. And they got the terms and they got the definitions. I said, okay. I said, kids, this summer, you all are going to be going over these financial literacy terms, so that this way you all can start learning this language. So I was like, okay. So not only do we got the instructions, but we also got financial literacy terms. So y'all teaching. I said, okay, I could rock with this. And then the nuances of the game, the details of it, the colors, the board is beautiful. Oh my gosh. Like, yo, for real, like the board itself is beautiful. The colors that you all pick for the money and all, like, it was beautiful. And I'm watching and I'm sitting back and I'm watching, and my daughter, who is 4, she's a girly girl. She loves getting her hair done and all of that. And the first chance she gets, guess what she buys?
Madam CJ Walker Beauty.
Yeah. Boom.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And then she's like, and then we looking at, and she wants to buy the barbershops too. My son, my oldest boy bought a pool hall, and my youngest son had a barbecue spot, right? And I'm watching, and I'm like, yo, they're excited about, like, and we're not prompting them. They're like, yo, I'm gonna buy that. Yeah, you know, I want that. Right. And it's in this whole, as I'm watching, I'm like, yo, they're grasping this idea of ownership. And I'm not prompting them. I'm not telling them this is what the experience is supposed to be. I'm letting them organically have this experience. And I'm like, yo, this is crazy. In their eagerness. And not only that, they're getting taught math, right? They got to get their change if they buy something and all of that. And my wife is helping them get the proper change and all. I'm like, yo, this is so dope. And to know that this is an act, there's history, there's legacy right here. You know what I'm saying? And them being able to share in that information and sharing that history of what their ancestors did, it was beautiful. And then my youngest son, we hit a snag because my youngest son, he drew the card that said, I forgot what it said, but basically they had to give all their property back to the bank, right, and start all over again. And I was like, oh snap! I'm like, okay, how is this going to play out, right? Are they going to say they don't want to play the game no more? Are they going to, you know? And they was like, okay, so they handed, and they were down for a second, but they didn't stop playing the game. Like they wanted to keep playing, right? So I was like, yo, this is crazy. And what was so surreal about it is that when we were watching the documentary, there was a lady that was on the documentary, and she was talking about how after the massacre, how they had to adjust from everything that they have being lost, and the process of them that they had to go through in order to start to rebuild. And she was talking about having a home where she had everything in there, all the amenities, right? And then now having to like live in a shack that had a hole in the roof. And then when it rained, when if they were cooking something outside, they had to bring the food back in the house and then go back out and when it finished raining so they could finish cooking their food. But that resilience, though, even though like they didn't stop, and it spoke to the resilience of our people, and for my kids to embody that by not giving up when they had to, when everything was lost, it was amazing to me. It was amazing to me, and so it was such a powerful. It was such the day was so informative. It was just jam packed of power, and the game really just encapsulated the whole experience, man. So I salute you all for the time and the energy and the love, clearly the love that you put into this game. And I thank you for serving us for real, like not just the parents, but serving our children as well with this experience, because what my kids now know, and we're gonna play it. We're gonna play it again. And I told you in our DM, I'm not taking it easy on them. I'm buying them.
Going down.
I'm buying everything. You feel what I'm saying? I'm buying. I don't care if I ain't got no cash at all. I'm gonna have me some property though. I'm gonna have me some businesses. So when you come across them, you gonna have to pay me. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, no, I salute you. We had an amazing experience. And my wife, let me just, as a disclaimer, let me just throw this out here. My wife, she's not the easiest to please. But even
wise
she,
words, my brother, wise words.
Yes. But even she was like, wow, this is a really amazing game. And I was like, huh? Okay, y'all on to something. When my queen gives the 100% like green light, oh yeah, y'all cooking with something. Y'all definitely cooking with something.
All right.
Listen, there were no paid actors
not
in
at
this
all.
review. I told y'all 100% honest. I didn't know what he was gonna say. Bless you, queen.
Bless you, queen.
But yeah, that was a blessing. Thank you for pouring your heart up over here. Because it's been, like the queen has said like earlier, for sure roller coaster of emotions putting this product into the atmosphere. It's been an emotional roller coaster, even having that card in the game, right? There's mixed emotions about even that card being in the game. And I mean, the fact that your kids were able to see the importance of not giving up. Yeah. Right. And that's something that we're definitely, one of the many lessons we're trying to teach in the board game is, as Black folks, unfortunately, there are going to be times where you hit barriers, whether it's systemic racism, whether it's a massacre, a riot, whether it's you not getting that job because you got locks, whatever it is, you're going to hit those barriers. And we need to be able to teach in a somewhat fun way, right, as early as possible, the muscle of resilience, the muscle of pushing through those barriers and being able to get success despite the barriers that may come up. So thank you for first off supporting and purchasing the game in the beginning, but also for the glowing review, and appreciate it.
Like literally everything that we discussed, almost everything that we discussed when creating the game, you just mentioned, and like us like seeing it actualized, obviously not in person, but just from your recollection, like it was actualized in your family's experience. So that's really cool. That's the concept of the ownership. And we've seen that too, even like with his siblings, with other kids, like when we were at different events, we watched them play the game and seen the same light bulbs go off. So it is very nice to hear and see that the intention we put behind that card and the the rule book and things like that is actually doing what we intended, with the families that we're trying to serve.
Absolutely. Right on. Salute. Absolutely. That's powerful.
Thank you. So if y'all are listening, you want that experience for your family, you can head to playblackwallstreet.com, get your board game, and you can get it. Let's see, it's the 13th right now. So if you're watching live or maybe the next day, it'll get you in time for Juneteenth. Another powerful day to talk about wealth, talk about ownership with your family. So definitely tap in. Brother POP, where can folks tap in with you, whether it's your YouTube, your website, IG? Go ahead and let folks know where they can find your information and what type of value you have ready and willing to give them once they do tap in. Doing a check real quick just to see if the audio's still working out for us. Let me know if you can hear us or see us, please.
I think we just lost him.
Let's see. Brother Jair, if you're watching still, if you can please give me a confirmation if we are live and direct. Thank you very much. So this episode, y'all, let me just tell you, let me tell you something. All right. I like to be transparent in my journeys. This episode was a very powerful episode for sure. A lot of dope nuggets in here, and even some of the nuggets that we were talking about, we had to literally manifest and kind of learn while we were going through it live. Right. So we're, as y'all know, we are on a slightly new platform. We've been rocking with it for just me and the queen on here with Jair as our tech person, and it's been going pretty smooth, right? Yeah, definitely like and subscribe. Tap into the struggle, the live struggle, the growth, and the manifestation. But today's episode, powerful, but was a test of will.
Yes.
Right. It was a test of our personal, our united will as a team, with just the technical difficulties that we were going through. Right. Try to show y'all some very powerful and intentional clips of the guests coming on. Clips, weren't working as good as we would have wanted them to, trying to have the guests come on. The guest wasn't able to use the camera that they would have usually wanted to use. The Wi-Fi stopped 3 or 4 times in and out. But at the end of the day, y'all, we are here.
You still gonna get this episode.
At the end of the day, y'all still gonna get this work, right? You still gonna get this episode. You still gonna get this manifestation. Let's go through the lens of holistic growth, right? We still trying to make sure we finish through, and hopefully, as y'all tap in with our journey, tap in with Steve POP's journey, you see the real life struggles. You see the real life kind of work that we're putting in, whether it's perfect or imperfect. And either way, we're still trying to pour into your cup and give you all value, right? So everything that we're saying, the struggles, the barriers, like we're literally going through it. We're literally living it as well. So please, hopefully that y'all are taking the small lessons, the nuggets that we're providing, that our guests are providing, and putting it into your world as well. Queen, anything you want to sprinkle in on that before we do a quick kind of weekly wrap up?
No, but I think he was right in the middle of kind of saying his information. Or do we have that we can read off for folks?
We do have at least the Instagram. So the Instagram is at IAM_POP or P.O.P, right? It's there on the screen. So definitely tap in with him on IG. And then on YouTube, it's the same thing. I am Pop on YouTube as well. You can find him there. He's in the middle of a 30-day challenge, and he's on day, and we'll see if we can add him back in here. But he's on day, I think 19, 18 out of his 30 days, where every day this man's waking up at 6, or he's waking up before 6 a.m. because he goes live at 6, which I would assume you got to wake up at least 5:30 maybe 5 o'clock to be ready to go live at 6. So, the man's putting in work. So definitely tap in, see what you can learn, especially if you are already an established family or you're thinking about starting a family, thinking about starting a brand. I think that's someone you can definitely learn from. But POP, we got you back in live in action. Here we go. POP, you ready to give your farewells? We see you. Yeah. We see you. We kind of hear you.
Can you hear us?
I can. I'm here.
Okay.
I heard you a little bit.
You're good. You ready to give you ready to give your farewell, your mic drop where people can find you and any last nuggets of wisdom?
Oh, come on, baby.
All right. Oh, I think we got him live. Can you hear us?
You're coming in. Y'all are breaking up a little bit.
All right. Well, if you can't hear me, go ahead and give your farewell.
There we go.
Give your farewell.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Okay. Again, thank you all so much for allowing me to share your platform. It's been a blessing. I had a great time. I believe I was given my social media handle. Y'all can just go to Instagram, IAM_P. That's IAM_P.O.P. That's my Instagram. All the links to my YouTube and all of that type of stuff is in the link in my bio. So you can go to Instagram and connect with me right there. Yeah, that's it. What I when you get to my page, you'll see the what I'm providing is tips, tricks, some practical tools for you to be able to create content. Also showing you.
Listen, y'all better not ever say when we make it in, or when we make it in the next 4 or 5 years, y'all better not call nobody no overnight successes. All right.
I don't want to hear it.
Y'all see the struggle. We still here though. He back. Here we go.
Man. Listen.
we gonna have you come back.
I just want to say for sure. I just want to say I love and I appreciate y'all. Y'all can hit me. Y'all can get me up on Instagram, and that we'll close it out there. This internet is hating on us real heavy right now.
Hating hard, and it was a funny thing. I was doing an IG live with an artist that contributed to the Masterpiece Edition, and he was on IG live, and he was like, "Oh, sometimes Instagram messes with the algorithm, and it stops you from seeing certain people, right?" And as soon as he said that line, his video froze.
Right.
And then like 30 seconds later, my video froze. And then that entire live stopped and got deleted. We were just like, wait, what? Literally, as soon as he said that. And then he tweeted the other day, and this is Vaccine. Shout out to the homie Vaccine. He's opening up an art gallery out here in the Valley not too long in August, I believe. So shout out to you. But he tweeted the other day, like, ever since I started talking mess about Instagram, they haven't been showing me the same love. So interesting technology, it's gonna try to fight you sometimes. It's gonna try to get in your way. But again, personal responsibility. What can you do to keep going? Right. So put out more content, more videos. Make sure you don't give up on your podcast episode that turns into an hour and 20 minutes because of technical difficulties. Make sure you finish through. So speaking of finish through, we always do a nice little weekly check-in. We're gonna make it super brief for the diehards who are still here listening through the struggle. We definitely appreciate you all.
Thanks, Grandy.
Right, Grandy, you already know. Much love. But Queen, can you please let folks know how your week was briefly and any good powerful wins you have? Here we go.
Okay, so my week was pretty good. Pretty is a strong word, but my week was good. I think I'm just going through a period of like exactly what we were talking about today, of seeing where I want to be, realizing where I am, and being frustrated that there's the gap there, right? That I'm not here. And so I'm actively kind of working through that frustration, but realizing that I got to take the baby steps, right? And I'm definitely one of those people that we were talking about earlier who wants everything to be perfect before I make a move. And that's something that I'm having to unlearn as an entrepreneur, because that's not how it works in the world of entrepreneurship. If you're waiting for everything to be perfect, you will never get started, because there will always be something else that you can do. So I'm learning that right now, and just kind of learning that I have to just dive in. But other than, that, my week was pretty good. I do just want to share something. We're talking about, if you're eating, go ahead and stop the podcast now. So one of the, my specialty is on the physical health side, right? So something that I've heard a lot of my health virtual mentors talk about is something called the squatty potty. Now, I hear that probably sounds very strange, but long story short, the way our toilets are set up are not actually set up in a way that is conducive for us to pass things through our digestive system in a easy, stress-free, painless way, right? So there's a certain positioning. If you think about, like, before we had toilets, you were squatting, right? You were squatting, you dig a hole, you squat to use the bathroom. So that's basically the company that created this used that idea of how can we, it's basically like a little stool that you put in front of your toilet so that you are basically in more of the squatting position when you go number two, so that it just kind of flows easily. So my win is that I had a pretty good poop yesterday.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
Being very transparent with you all, but I'm sold, and you need to go get this. They didn't send me no money, although I will gladly sponsor. You need to go get yourself a squatty potty, because it's amazing, and it just really, like, once you use it, you're like, oh, this is how we're supposed to be using the bathroom.
Listen, I did not have the same magical experience that the Queen had. I tried it, and I'll try anything twice. So I'll give it one more shot, because the Queen said, and she's my health coach, so I'm gonna listen to her. She's my Queen. I'm gonna listen to her, but it got one more time for me, and if it's not it, then I'm good. I'm go back to traditional.
I told you there's different levels to it. So you got the 7-inch and then the 9-inch. So if you're like more flexible, I'm a dancer, so those, I can bend and whatever. So that squatting position is fine for me, the 9-inch. But if you turn it the other way, then it's only 7 inches above the ground. It's less of the like knees all the way up, and less strenuous. So try that one. Long story short, that's my win. I'm sticking to it. Go get yourself a squatty potty and experience the joy that is defecating seamlessly.
All right. Enough of that. Queen, you also have 2 products available for people. Can you talk about your 2 products briefly and where they can find them?
I do have 2 products. One is the 4-week intermittent fasting plan. We getting right back into summer. So and fasting isn't only for weight loss. Like we talk about it a lot for weight loss, but it has way more benefits than just weight loss. It has mental benefits. It's got, longevity benefits. There is research that shows that fasting can help you live longer, because it allows your body to just give it a break from a lot of the daily things that it has to do, like digest food. I have a 4-week intermittent fasting plan. If you've never tried fasting and you're like, I don't know what to start, how do I work this schedule? Go and download that. It also has 4 weeks of exercises you can do, whether you're at home or whether you go to the gym. You can have access to that calendar. We got videos. If you click on the exercises, it'll take you to a video of how to do the exercise. We got you covered. All right. And then we also have an ebook, 7 Smoothies to Live Your Best Life. So we've talked about how smoothies have definitely changed our lives. That was one of the first steps we took, is drinking a very nutrient dense. I'm not talking about the Jamba juices, no offense. But those are typically have, sherbets and ice creams and things like that make it taste good, but aren't really that great for you. So this is an ebook of 7 recipes that have been specifically chosen for their ingredients and their ability to combat a lot of the common health disparities that we deal with as a community, the heart disease, diabetes, high blood pressure, weight loss, fatigue, all of these things that we deal with as a community. I got a smoothie recipe for it. So go and get that as well. $4.99 right now. Cost of one Starbucks drink.
Boom. And shout out to Carmelita. Carmelita bought your intermittent fasting plan and your smoothie book. And she was saying how you think that fasting is going to drastically change your life. It's going to drastically change like your energy levels. And she was like, I was able to give up my one meal a day and I still feel great. I still feel good. And that was only day, I think 2 or 3. So Carmelita, we appreciate your support. She's a huge fan of the queen over here. She's like, yeah, your queen is just so amazing. She's doing all. I'm just like, yeah, I know. Yeah, she cool. Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Brother POP, welcome back. Can you share, if you would like, anything powerful that happened for you this week?
Let's see. Yeah. Was it this week? Last week. Last week I got the opportunity. To sit down with I got an opportunity to go to EYL headquarters and sit down with Troy from EYL. So that was super cool. Chopped it up with him. He's actually a childhood friend of mine. Him and Rashad, and actually the whole EYL squad. So I was able to sit down and chop it up with him for a while. So that was pretty deep. So so that was definitely a highlight. Oh, and also my kids had a recital. My kids had a piano recital. Nice. Both of my boys play piano, and they just did an amazing job, man. You work with them, and they're and their music teacher. Her name is Miss Neal, and she's African American, and all of the kids. I'm watching. It was a virtual recital, and all the kids, they all chocolate babies, and I'm like, man, look at all these chocolate babies playing. I mean, Mozart and playing all of this classical music, and I mean excellently, and it just brought such joy to my heart. So that was another really big highlight of my week as well.
Nice.
Dope. Congrats. Again, off script for a second. You don't have to respond in deep details. But when we were in Tulsa, we actually had a brief opportunity to meet Rashad and the EIL squad.
Oh, okay.
Right. So they were doing their live podcast in the lock shop, and we were out there. We tapped in with them, and we got to talk briefly to Rashad and give him a game.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, dope.
For you is, and you can deny this, remind them to play the game.
Right? I got you. Oh, yes. No, matter of fact, it was crazy that because when Troy when he called me, we FaceTime, and I was telling him about you. I was telling him about y'all. I was telling him about the game, and he was like, "Yo, hold on, I think I got the game." So he FaceTimed me. He FaceTimed me and he showed me. He was like, "Yeah, this is the game right here." I said, "Yes." So I will make sure, because I think I'm supposed to be meeting with him again this week. So I'll be like, "Yo, you got to play the game. Break it out with wifey and kids and make it do what it do."
This is what crazy. I was talking about. Look, exactly what I was talking about. You put things into the universe. We had no idea that you were childhood friends with them. Like,
yeah.
And you just happen to have the game, love the game, and before we even said anything, has already made that connection. Crazy.
Yeah. There you go. So I will definitely remind him. I would definitely remind him and let him know what the experience was that we had, and let them and definitely encourage him to get the wifey and kids together and experience that themselves.
Much love. That's beautiful. And I was gonna go through my powerful week, but that right there, that's the powerfulness right there.
you just saw it live, folks.
You just saw that live. The fact that you can manifest that, and you never know what can happen. So keep shooting your shots out there if you're watching. The fact that we shot the shot to even go to Tulsa, the fact that we shot the shot to get in the lock shop. We put 3 games in there. Like, I gave a game directly to Rashad. I gave a game to Miss Gina, who's the owner of the lock shop. I was like, give this to one of them. And then I also gave a game to, I think, one more person.
Like the brother.
To Vince. Yeah, I gave a game to Vince too. And I was like,
okay.
So just shoot your shots. You never know what's gonna happen, y'all.
The other thing, sorry, real quick, since we're talking about resilience, because we didn't mention the fact that we didn't actually get to see the podcast because it was such a small room. So we stood outside in the rain for like an hour and a half just for the opportunity to maybe be able to meet one of them and give them the game.
Wow.
And that could possibly manifest into something like,
wow.
You stand the rain.
Right, we could have easily been like, oh, okay, we're not about to get inside, it's raining, let's go ahead and go back to the hotel. But we was like, let's just see, you never know what can happen. So just another testament to resilience that you just gotta go through it.
One more. I'm sorry, Steve, that we my bad, brother. But one more is we had a group of 6 with us, right? And half of the group, after like 45 minutes, they were like, you know what? And they didn't have as much skin in the game. Like they were there, they were with us, they were for sure supporting. So all love to the folks that were there. But after a while, they're like, you know what? We're hungry. It's raining. We're not even watching anything. We're about to go eat. So what's up, Devon? You trying to go eat? And I was like, you have that moment, right?
We were hungry.
I was hungry, starving, right? It's raining outside, and it's like, do I give up on what we're trying to do and go eat, go with the group, or do I kind of fight the resistance of the group? And sometimes you got to fight what your parents are saying, literally, because it was my dad that was there. All love to the king, though. Like sometimes you got to fight against what your parents are saying, what your friends are saying, for what you know is the right option. The fact that we were able to, say no, and we met with them a little bit later and got that small opportunity. Never know what's going to happen. So a lot of dope nuggets. This has been a really unconventional episode. I'll say that it's been an unconventional episode, but for the folks that are able to really, push past all the technical difficulties like we were able to push past, there's a lot of nuggets here. We're definitely going to bring you back, POP, right, Brother Pop, so we can have another smooth experience with your nice Canon camera with the blur and all that fancy stuff. We can really maybe on episode 2, when you come back, break down the specific tangible steps that a parent can take from ground zero. You have a family, but no brand. How do you go from that to where you are today, where you have a brand, you're pouring in value, right? So hopefully we can bring you back for that round 2.
I'm with it, bro. I'm with it. Cool. Queen, thank you, bro. Listen, King, appreciate you. Like for real. I really, really do. Thank you for this opportunity. It was amazing.
Yes, sir. Of course. We appreciate you.
Side note, we could definitely tell that we listen to all the same podcasts. Facts. Just from a lot of the references you were saying, self-assess. So we definitely all tuning into the ETA squad and the S2S podcast. Yeah. So
hold on. Can I share a story about that? Can I share a story about ETA?
Yeah.
And it's so crazy because as you're talking, I'm like, yo, I had an experience like this. So watch this. Atlanta.
When you gotta change position, it's a good one.
Right.
Listen, Atlanta. So the first conference that I went to, first ETA conference I went to was in Atlanta. It was the Dominate Your Industry Conference. Dominate Your Industry Conference. Now, backstory. My family does a yearly retreat, right? And this was maybe 17 years ago now, maybe even a little bit more. But before ET was ET, they invited him up to the mountain and he spent the weekend with us. Oh, wow. And he came and he spoke and everything like that. And that was before he blew up. And so I lost contact with him. I didn't even remember his name. Like years later, I was like, man, there was this. And actually, he was the inspiration why I even wanted to start speaking, because I heard him speak and I was like, yo, this dude is moving mountains when he speaks, right? Yeah. So fast forward, him and I reconnect. E went to the same college that my wife graduated from and her sisters. So they're having a Oakwood University in Alabama. They were having what is called alumni weekend. They have that every year. E was there. I was like, yo, I said to my sister was down there. I said, yo, if you see Eric, because she knew him. I said, if you see Eric, do me a favor and just tell him, give him my number, see if you can get his number for me, because I want to reconnect with him. Right? Was able to do that. Whatever. So him and I started, communicating. So fast forward, now he's ET. He has this, he has this conference. He has a conference in Atlanta, Dominate Your Industry. He got Inky, he got Jeremy Anderson, he got Dave Shantz, all of them. So he invites me to be on a prayer line. I was on his prayer line and that's how I met Quest, who is my big homie, who gave me the self-assess and all that type of stuff, like Jeremy, you know what I'm saying? They all poured into me, right? Cool. So the conference, I was like, I couldn't afford it. I was like, but I had a feeling that I needed to be there. So I text E and I was like, yo, E, look, I can't afford to be at this joint, but I feel like I can't miss it. There's something I just can't miss it. Right. So he texts me back like 2 hours later. He said, yo, if you can get to Atlanta, you in there. Wow. So me and my wife, we scrounge up all the little extra change that we got to get a flight to Atlanta, to get a round trip ticket to Atlanta. We get to Atlanta. My wife's cousin had moved to Atlanta, and she lived, well, not Atlanta, but she lived right outside of Atlanta, but she was only like 30 minutes, I think, from where the event was going to be held. So we scrounged up what we got to get to Atlanta. So I get to Atlanta, get to the conference, right? Get up to the thing. They're like, have your tickets out and all that. I don't have no ticket. I'm like, yo, this is my heart is beating out of my chest because I'm like, I don't have no ticket. I don't have nothing. So I get up to the thing. I get up to the little, where they checking people in. And I'm like, yo, my name is Steve Lewis. I give him my name. And of course, my name's not on the list. So I'm like, oh, well, and I'm like, yo, E said that I could come. And the girl kind of looked at me like, yo, I hear that. That's not the first time I've heard that.
You another one of those. Right?
You know what I'm saying? That's not the first time I heard that. So she calls over, I think her name was LaShonda. I think she's either E's secretary or something like that. Yep. And I show her, and she was like, yeah, he said that E said he can come in. And I was like, yeah, I got the text message telling me that I could come. So she was like, show me the text message. So I showed her the text message, and she recognized E's number. She was like, okay, good, you can go in. So I was like, whoo. So I get in, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to sit all the way in the corner because I'm just blessed to be here. And I just want to be a fly on the wall. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not trying to interrupt. No, I just want to be in a fly on the wall. So I sit in all the way in. It's one of the big little, it was at the Westin Hotel or the W Hotel or whatever in Atlanta. And I'm sitting all the way in the ballroom, all the way on the far corner by myself, right? The event starts and the speakers are coming in, and E walks in, CJ, Inky, all of them walk in. And guess where they sit? Right next to me, on the very back row, all the way in the back corner. And E is sitting 2 seats down from me. And I was going to come in, go to the conference, and I was going to sneak out, and I was going to text E later and say, yo, E, thank you so much for that opportunity. But I was able to tell that man face to face and thank him. He was 2 seats down from me. He was sitting there. Dave Shantz was sitting next to him. All of the speakers, CJ was standing behind us. And I was like, yo, this is crazy. So not only was I in the spot, but I was literally on the same row of all of these speakers that I actually came to see. So to your point, shoot your shot. Shoot your shot. You just never know. You never know, man. So So thank you for that time to be able to share that story. It was like that was a game changer for me, man. Game changer for me.
Right. Wow. And like you said something earlier before this story on just being in the room.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Get yourself in the room, feel the vibrations, feel the frequency. You'll absorb that, and it will make you better. So, geez, like. And I have more stuff to talk about. I know.
I was just going to tie that into the episode we just listened to, talk about Man in the Arena, the S2S podcast called Man in the Arena. And it's talking about how folks who are not doing what you're doing, whatever it is, folks from the outside who may be like critical of what you're doing, unless they are with you, like trying to do what you're doing, unless they have your best interest in mind, like it's best to probably not even take that criticism into account, unless we're drawing the reference to like the sports team of being in the arena. And they brought in some quote about, the like the rewards will come to those who are in the arena, who are doing the work, win or lose, right? Because they're going to be wins and losses. But if you're in the arena, in the room, right? Same analogy, then something will happen for you as long as you keep at it. So it's like same type of everything's tying together.
Yeah, big fact. Another piece on how we got connected. And I think we might have been following each other before this, but Solo Creator Pro. Right? So I know we took advantage of Solo Creator Pro, Carl's course, and I didn't even know, like at the end of the course, everyone makes a nice little review, or a nice, sometimes not so nice, but I made my little review, and I didn't know my review was being used until you DM'd me and you were like, hey, how'd you like the Solo Creator? I was like, how'd you know I took the code? what you talking about? How'd you know I took that? You look at my credit card statement, what's going on here? And he was like, oh yeah, I saw your review on the website, and I just want to know, like, how was it for you? Right? And that's another thing that's being I guess offered by the ETA. Is Carl's kind of section of ETA, and that's another not pathway that we got connected with Pop. The fact that we took that course, we completed that course in its entirety. I engaged with Carl on a virtual level, was able to make my review. That review got put on the ETA website, right? Shot, and then he saw it and then reached out to us, and now we're here. Well, kind of here live on the podcast. So we're going to wrap this up. What we're trying to say is, please keep shooting your shots out there, whatever your lane is, whether it's video editing, whether it's creating board games, creating educational content, health coaching, creating health products. Like, keep shooting your shot, because people meet the product of you before they meet you. Right? ET says this as well. Like, your gift goes out into the world and it meets people, it engages with people, it empowers people before they even know who you are. So the more you can put your gift out there, the more your gift can engage with the universe and with people, the more impact you're going to have, but also the more people you're going to end up connecting with down the road as well. Right?
Yep.
Queen, you good?
Good.
All right. So we appreciate y'all for tapping in, for holding on strong to this episode. It's been an amazing episode with Brother POP over here. Definitely make sure you go follow him at @IAM_POP. Tap in, and we're going to bring him back to get some more love. All right.
Absolutely.
So thank y'all for tuning in to True Health Forever podcast, where we try to live our best life through the lens of holistic health. We had it the first time.
I know.
We not 2 times. This is what kind of day it is. But my name is Devon Truvel, creator of Black Wall Street, the board game.
My name is Sinclair, aka the Health Nerd.
Brother POP. There he is. That's Brother POP, the 9-to-5 creator. We hope y'all stay healthy. We hope y'all stay mentally wealthy. And of course, we hope y'all stay true.
True.